The Mafia boss's baby cried nonstop on plane. His tiny fists trembled, his face red with exhaustion, but nothing could calm him down. Passengers whispered in fear, afraid of how the dangerous father might react. Then a gentle woman rose from her seat. No one thought she would dare get close to him, let alone touch his child. But when she did, the crying stopped instantly, and what happened next brought tears to every eye on that flight. Stay with me until the end, because this story will touch your heart in ways you won't expect. Before we begin, don't forget to like this video, hit subscribe, and comment where you're watching from. Now let us begin. The Boeing 77 cruised at 35,000 feet through the midnight sky. His cabin dimmed for the overnight transatlantic flight from New York to Rome. In first class, tension thick as smoke filled the air, but not from turbulence or mechanical problems. The source of everyone's anxiety sat at seat 2A, a man whose very presence commanded respect and fear in equal measure. Vincent Torino adjusted his custom Italian suit for the 100th time, his calloused hands shaking slightly as he tried once again to soothe his 3-month-old son, Marco. The baby's cries had been echoing through the cabin for over 2 hours now, piercing wails that seemed to grow more desperate with each passing minute. Vincent's steel-gray eyes, usually cold and calculating, now reflected something rarely seen: pure helplessness. The other first-class passengers kept their distance, stealing nervous glances at the man they recognized from newspaper headlines and whispered street corner conversations. Vincent Torino wasn't just any businessman traveling with his child. He was the head of one of New York's most powerful crime families, a man whose reputation preceded him like a shadow. Even at 40,000 feet above the earth, his presence commanded both respect and terror. But tonight, the most feared man in Brooklyn looked utterly defeated by an 8 baby. Marco's tiny face was crimson from crying, his little legs kicking frantically against his father's chest. Vincent had tried everything he could think of. He walked the aisles, bounced the baby gently, offered bottles that were immediately rejected, changed diapers that were already clean. Nothing worked. The piercing screams continued relentlessly, each cry like a knife through Vincent's heart. The flight attendants maintained their professional smiles, but their eyes betrayed their nervousness. They offered assistance multiple times, suggesting everything from white noise apps to special formula. But Vincent had waved them away with increasing frustration. He wasn't used to problems he couldn't solve, situations he couldn't control through sheer force of will or strategic thinking. In the rows behind him, passengers whispered among themselves, their voices barely audible over Marco's cries. Some pulled out their phones, recording, while others simply stared in fascination at the sight of such a powerful man brought to his knees by something so small and innocent. Vincent's bodyguard, Tony Marcelli, sat across the aisle, his own discomfort evident. Tony had been with the Torino family for 15 years, had seen his boss handle hostile takeovers, rival families, and federal investigations without breaking a sweat. But this was different. This was personal in a way that no amount of street experience had prepared them for. The baby's mother, Vincent's wife, Maria, had died in childbirth just 3 months earlier, leaving Vincent to navigate single parenthood while running a criminal empire. He hired the best nanny's money could buy, but none of them were on this flight. This trip to Rome was supposed to be simple, a quick meeting with their Italian friends, but Marco's sudden illness had forced Vincent to bring his son along. As the crying reached a new crescendo, other passengers began showing signs of serious irritation. A businessman in seat 3B slammed his laptop shut with obvious frustration. An elderly woman covered her ears with her hands, shaking her head disapprovingly. Even the usually unflappable flight crew looked strained, their practiced patience wearing thin. Vincent felt sweat beading on his forehead despite the cool cabin temperature. In his world, showing weakness was dangerous, potentially fatal. But here, suspended miles above the Atlantic Ocean, he was just another exhausted father struggling with a crying baby, and everyone could see it. That when she appeared. From economy class, moving with quiet determination, came a woman who looked to be in her early 30s. Her auburn hair was pulled back in a simple ponytail, and she wore a modest blue sweater and jeans. Nothing about her appearance suggested wealth or status. She moved through the cabin with purpose, Her brown eyes focused not on Vincent's intimidating presence, but on the distressed baby in his arms. The first-class passengers watched in stunned silence as she approached. Didn't she know who she was walking toward? Couldn't she sense the danger radiating from this man, heat from a furnace? Elena Rossi had been trying to sleep in her economy seat when the crying began. As a pediatric nurse at Mount Sinai Hospital, she'd heard thousands of babies cry over her 10-year career. But something about this particular cry caught her attention. It wasn't just fussiness or hunger. The pitch, the rhythm, the way the baby's legs were moving. It all pointed to something specific that she recognized immediately. She watched for nearly an hour as the situation in first class deteriorated. Her professional instincts wearing with her common sense. Getting involved would mean crossing into territory where she clearly didn't belong. Approaching a man whose reputation for violence was legendary throughout New York. But the baby's cries told a story she couldn't ignore. Every maternal instinct, every ounce of her medical training screamed that this child needed help. And she was the only person on this plane who might know what to do. As Elena approached seat 2A, the cabin fell eerily quiet, except for Marco's continued wailing. Vincent looked up at her with eyes that freeze blood. His jaw clenched tight with exhaustion and barely contained frustration. "Sir," Elena said softly, her voice somehow carrying over the baby's cries. "I'm a pediatric nurse. I think I might know what's wrong with your son." Vincent's first instinct was to tell her to back off, to return to her seat and mind her own business. In his world, strangers who approached uninvited usually had ulterior motives, hidden agendas that could prove deadly. But something in her voice, a gentle confidence mixed with genuine concern, made him pause. Tony tensed in his seat, his hand moving instinctively toward his jacket, but Vincent held up a subtle hand to stop him. The other passengers leaned forward slightly, sensing that something significant was about to unfold. "What do you think you know?" Vincent asked, his voice growly from stress and exhaustion. Despite his threatening reputation, there was a note of desperate hope buried beneath his words. Elena's eyes never left the baby as she spoke, her professional training taking over. The way he's crying, the leg movements, the arching of his back. "I believe he's experiencing severe colic combined with reflux. The cabin pressure changes during flight can make it much worse." Vincent studied Elena's face intently, searching for any sign of deception or hidden motive. In his line of work, trust was a luxury he couldn't afford, especially with strangers. But the baby's relentless crying was wearing down his defenses, and this woman's calm demeanor stood in stark contrast to the chaos surrounding them. "You think you can help him?" Vincent asked, his voice barely a whisper. For the first time in years, vulnerability crept into his tone. Elena nodded slowly, her eyes still focused on Marco. "May I hold him?" There's a specific position that often helps with these symptoms. It's called the colic carry, and it can provide almost immediate relief. The request hung in the air like a challenge. Vincent had never let a stranger touch his son, especially not when he'd just met on an airplane. But as Marco's cries reached another piercing crescendo, desperation overrode caution. "If you hurt him," Vincent said quietly, his words carrying the weight of unspoken threats, "there won't be anywhere on this earth you can hide." Elaine met his gaze without flinching. "I understand. I have children of my own. I would never hurt a baby." With trembling hands, Vincent carefully transferred his son to Elena's arms. The moment was electric with tension, every passenger in first class holding their breath as they watched this unprecedented exchange. Elena positioned Marco along her forearm, guarding his chest with her palm while his stomach rested against her arm. She applied gentle pressure to his belly while making slow rhythmic movements. Within seconds, something miraculous began to happen. Marco's desperate wails started to subside. His rigid little body began to relax, and the frantic kicking of his legs gradually slowed. The transformation was so dramatic that several passengers leaned forward in their seats, unable to believe what they were witnessing. "How is that possible?" Vincent breathed, his eyes wide with amazement. "The position helps release trapped gas and relieves the pressure on his stomach," Elena explained softly, continuing her gentle movements. "The cabin pressure during flight makes colic symptoms much worse. He has probably been in pain for hours. As Marco's crying faded to soft whimpers then to silence, the entire first-class cabin seemed to exhale collectively. The relief was palpable, washing over everyone like a cool breeze after a sweltering day. Vincent watched in stunned silence as his son, who had been inconsolable for hours, began to drift peacefully to sleep. Elenina hummed a gentle lullaby under her breath, a melody that seemed to wrap around the baby like a warm blanket. "Where did you learn to do that?" Vincent asked, his voice filled with genuine wonder. 10 years of pediatric nursing, Elena replied, still swaying gently with Marco. "But honestly, most of what I know came from my own experience. My youngest son had severe colic for the first 4 months of his life. There were nights when I thought I might lose my mind from the crying." Something in her voice, the raw honesty of shared struggle, touched Vincent in a way he hadn't expected. Here was someone who understood the helplessness he'd been feeling, the desperate need to comfort a child who seemed beyond comfort. "You have children?" he asked, settling back into his seat for the first time in hours. Elena nodded, a soft smile crossing her face. 3, 2 boys and a girl, ages 12, 9 and 6. They're with their father this week. "Divorced?" Vincent asked, then immediately caught himself. "Sorry, that's none of my business." "It's okay," Elena said gently. "Yes, divorced 2 years ago. We share custody, which is why I was able to take this trip to visit my sister in Rome." Vincent found himself relaxing in a way he hadn't in months. There was something about Elena's presence that felt different from the people who usually surrounded him. No fear, no hidden agendas, no careful calculations behind every word, just genuine warmth and competence. Marco had fallen into a deep, peaceful sleep, his tiny chest rising and falling in steady rhythm. Elenina continued to hold him, seeming to sense that Vincent wasn't quite ready to take his son back yet. "He is beautiful," she said softly, looking down at the sleeping baby. "How old is he?" 3 months, Vincent replied, his voice thick with emotion. "His mother died during childbirth. It's just been him and me since then." Elena's expression softened with sympathy. "I'm so sorry for your loss. That must be incredibly difficult." Vincent nodded, swallowing hard. He'd never spoken about Maria's death to anyone outside his immediate family. Yet something about this moment suspended between earth and sky made confession feel possible. "I don't know what I'm doing," he admitted quietly. "I've hired nannies, read books, but nothing prepares you for moments like this. When he cries like that, and I can't help him, I feel like I'm failing him, failing her." Elena's heart ached at the raw pain in his voice. Whatever this man's reputation might be, right now he was simply a grieving widower struggling to raise his child alone. "You're not failing anyone," she said firmly. "Babies cry. Sometimes they cry a lot, and it doesn't mean you're doing anything wrong. Colic is incredibly common, and it's temporary. Most babies outgrow it by a month." "Really?" Vincent asked, hope flickering in his eyes. "Really? And the fact that you're here traveling with him, trying everything you can think of to comfort him, that tells me you're already a good father. The best fathers are the ones who worry about whether they're doing enough." Vincent felt something loosen in his chest, a knot of anxiety and self-doubt that had been tightening for months. When was the last time someone had spoken to him with such gentle honesty? In his world, fully orchestrated respect and fear, genuine human connection was rare. Tony, who had been watching the exchange with growing bewilderment, leaned across the aisle. "Boss, we should probably think about getting back to our seats. The captain mentioned some turbulence ahead." Vincent looked at his bodyguard, then at Elena, who was still cradling his peacefully sleeping son. The idea of taking Marco back, of potentially triggering another crying episode, filled him with dread. "Would you mind staying with us for a while?" Vincent asked Elena. "At least until we're through the rough air. I don't want to risk waking him." Elena glanced toward the economy section, then back at Vincent. The request was unusual, but the genuine need in his eyes was unmistakable. "Of course," she said. "I'd be happy to help." As if summoned by their conversation, a flight attendant appeared at Vincent's seat, her professional smile slightly strained. "Mr. Torino, I'm sorry to interrupt, but the passenger needs to return to her assigned seat. We're expecting some turbulence, and FAA regulations require everyone to be properly seated and buckled. Vincent's jaw tightened, and for a moment, his dangerous reputation flickered back to the surface. But Elena placed a gentle hand on his arm. "It's okay," she said softly. "Let me show you the hold so you can do it yourself." Marco should stay calm now that the pressure has been relieved. With infinite care, Elena demonstrated how to position the baby, guiding Vincent's hands until he had the technique correct. Marco stirred slightly during the transfer, but remained peacefully asleep. "Remember, gentle pressure on his stomach and keep him slightly elevated," Elena instructed. "If he starts to fuss again, try this swaying motion." Vincent practiced the movements, marveling at how natural it felt now that he understood the technique. For the first time since Marco's birth, he felt like he might actually know what he was doing. "Thank you," he said, the words carrying far more weight than their simplicity suggested. "I mean it. You've given me more than you know." Elena smiled, gathering her small purse to return to her seat. "Take care of that beautiful boy, and remember, you're doing better than you think." As she turned to leave, Vincent called out softly, "Wait, what is your name?" "Elena," she replied.
Elena aussi.
"Elena," Vincent repeated, committing it to memory. "Thank you, Elena." But as Elena made her way back through the cabin, none of them realized that this chance encounter was about to take an unexpected turn that would change all their lives forever. As Elena walked back toward economy class, the captain's voice crackled through the intercom with an urgency that made every passenger's blood run cold. "Ladies and gentlemen, we're experiencing a medical emergency that requires an diversion to the nearest airport. Please remain seated with your seatbelts fastened as we begin our descent in Shannon, Maryland." Elena froze in the aisle, her nurse's instincts immediately on high alert. Around her, passengers began murmuring anxiously, pulling out their phones to check the time. They were barely 4 hours into an 8-hour flight. Something serious was happening. That S when she heard it. A woman's voice from the middle of the cabin, high-pitched with panic. "Help, please. Someone help. My husband isn't breathing." Elena didn't hesitate. She pushed through the gathering crowd of concerned passengers, medical training taking complete control. In row 15, she found a woman in her 60s frantically shaking an unconscious man beside her. "I'm a nurse," Elena announced firmly, dropping to her knees in the narrow aisle. "What happened?" "He just collapsed," the woman sobbed. "We were talking about the crying baby and suddenly he grabbed his chest and fell over. Please, you have to help him." Elena immediately began checking for vital signs, her hands moving with practiced precision. "No pulse, no breathing." The man's lips were already turning blue. "I need the AD and oxygen from the emergency kit." She called out to the flight attendants who had rushed to the scene. "And clear this area immediately." Vincent, still holding his peacefully sleeping son, could hear the commotion from first class. Tony leaned over with concern written across his face. "Boss, sounds like someone's in real trouble back there." Vincent's eyes narrowed as he processed what was happening. The same man who had just saved his son was now trying to save someone else's life. Without thinking, he carefully placed Marco in his carrier and stood up. "Stay with him," he told Tony, then walked toward the chaos unfolding in economy. What Vincent saw when he reached row 15 stopped him in his tracks. Elena was performing CPR with incredible skill and determination. Her entire focus locked on the unconscious man beneath her hands. Sweat beat on her forehead from the exertion, but she never paused in her rhythmic compressions. "Come on," she whispered between breaths. "Come on, stay with us." The man's wife knelt beside them, tears streaming down her face. "His name is Robert. We've been married 43 years. Please don't let him die. Not like this." Elena looked up at the woman with fierce compassion. "I'm not giving up on him. What's his medical history?" "Heart attack 5 years ago. He takes blood thinners and blood pressure medication. We were flying to Rome to celebrate our anniversary." Vincent watched in amazement as Elena continued working, never showing any sign of fatigue despite the physical demands of CPR. This was the same gentle woman who had cradled his son with such tenderness just minutes earlier. Now she was fighting to save a stranger's life with equal determination. The flight attendants arrived with the emergency equipment, and Elena immediately began coordinating their response with professional authority that commanded instant respect. I need you to prepare the oxygen mask while I continue compressions, and someone needs to announce that we're looking for any doctors on board. As she worked, Elena began talking to the unconscious man, her voice calm and encouraging. Robert, your wife is right here beside you. She has told me about your anniversary trip to Rome. You need to wake up for her. She needs you to fight. Vincent found himself holding his breath along with everyone else in the surrounding area. The cabin had fallen completely silent except for Elena's steady counting and the mechanical sounds of the life-saving equipment. 1, 2, 3, 4. After what felt like an eternity, but was probably only 2 minutes, Robert suddenly gasped and his eyes fluttered open. The collective sigh of relief from the passengers was audible throughout the cabin. Robert, his wife cried, grabbing his hand. Oh, thank God. Thank God. Elena immediately checked his pulse and breathing, her professional demeanor never wavering, even as obvious relief flooded her features. His vitals are stabilizing, she announced to the flight crew, but he needs immediate medical attention when we land. This was definitely a cardiac event. As the medical emergency began to stabilize, Vincent realized he was witnessing something extraordinary. This woman had just helped his son and saved a stranger's life. She had transformed the entire atmosphere of the plane from one of fear and anxiety to hope and gratitude. Elena stayed with Robert and his wife throughout the emergency descent into Shannon, monitoring his condition and providing reassurance. The man remained conscious and stable, though clearly shaken by his brush with death. When the paramedics boarded the plane in Ireland, they were amazed by Elena's thorough documentation and professional care. You saved his life, the lead paramedic told her as they prepared to transport Robert to the hospital. Without immediate CPR, he wouldn't have made it. Robert's wife grabbed Elena's hands before they wheeled him away. I don't know how to thank you, she whispered. You gave me back my husband. Elena squeezed her hands gently. Take care of each other. Make that anniversary in Rome extra special. As the medical team departed with their patient, the captain said they would be delayed several hours while the aircraft was inspected and refueled. Passengers would be provided with hotel accommodations if needed. Vincent approached Elena as she finally made her way back toward her seat, exhaustion now visible in her posture for the first time. That was incredible, he said quietly. You saved that man's life. Elena looked at him with tired eyes. How's Marco doing? Even after everything that had just happened, her first concern was still for his son. Vincent felt something shift in his chest, a recognition of character that went beyond anything he'd experienced in his dangerous world. He.S. perfect, still sleeping peacefully. The technique you showed me worked exactly like you said it would. They stood in the aisle for a moment, both processing the intensity of the past hour. Around them, other passengers were gathering their belongings and discussing the unexpected stop. Elena, Vincent said, his voice lower now, more personal. I need to ask you something, and I want you to know it comes from a place of complete sincerity. She looked at him curiously, sensing the shift in his tone. My son needs someone who understands him the way you do. Someone with your skills, your instincts, your heart. Vincent paused, choosing his words carefully. I'd like to offer you a position as Marco's nanny. Full-time with a salary that would allow you to provide anything your own children might need. Elena blinked in surprise. Mr. Torino, that's incredibly generous. But I have a life in New York, my job at the hospital, my children, my responsibilities. I understand, Vincent said quickly. But consider this. You could move your children to a better school district. You could have financial security in a way that most nurses never experience. And you would be helping a child who clearly responds to you in a way he doesn't respond to anyone else. Elena felt torn between practical considerations and the emotional pull she'd already developed toward this motherless baby. But something else was bothering her. What you're off sounds wonderful, but I have to ask. I've heard stories about you, about your business. I need to know what I would be getting my family in. Vincent appreciated her directness. In his world, people either feared him too much to ask such questions or assumed they already knew the answers. I won't lie to you. My business involves activities that exist in legal gray areas. But I give you my word that my son, and by extension anyone caring for him, would be completely protected from that world. Marco grew up knowing love and safety, not fear and violence. Elena studied his face, searching for deception or manipulation. Instead, she saw a father desperately trying to do right by his child. A man whose dangerous reputation was at odds with the vulnerability he'd shown tonight. I need time to think about it, she said finally. This isn't a decision I can make impulsively. Of course, Vincent replied. But while you're thinking, consider this. Tonight, you saved 2 lives. My son's emotional well-being and Robert's actual life. You have a gift for healing, Elena. Maybe this is an opportunity to use that gift in a different way. As passengers began disembarking for their unexpected layover in Ireland, Vincent made one final request. Would you sit with us for the rest of the flight when we reboard? Not as an employee, just as someone who understands what Marco needs. I'll have the airline arrange for you to be moved to first class. Elena hesitated, then nodded. Okay, but only to help with the baby. Vincent smiled. The first genuine smile he'd managed in months. Thank you. That's all I'm asking for. But as they gathered their belongings and prepared to leave the aircraft, neither Vincent nor Elena realized that their story was about to take another dramatic turn. The events of this night had set in motion a chain of circumstances that would test both their courage and their growing connection in ways they never could have imagined. The real challenge was just beginning. As they stepped off the plane into Shannon Airport's terminal, Vincent found himself in unfamiliar territory. For the first time in decades, he was genuinely concerned about someone else's opinion of him. Elena walked beside him, carrying her small overnight bag while he managed Marco's care and diaper bag. The baby remained blissfully asleep, completely unaware of the chaos his earlier distress had caused. The airport buzzed with stranded passengers making phone calls and seeking information about their delayed connections. Vincent's phone had been ringing constantly since they landed. Tony fielding calls from associates who were expecting him in Rome. But for once, Vincent's business empire felt secondary to the more immediate concern of ensuring Marco's comfort. The airline is putting everyone up at the recent Blue, Elena said, checking her phone. They're sending shuttles every 15 minutes. Vincent nodded absently, his attention focused on his son's peaceful breathing. The transformation was remarkable. Just hours earlier, Marco had been inconsolable, his cries echoing through the cabin like a siren. Now he slept with the serene contentment of a baby who finally felt understood. Elena, Vincent said as they waited for their shuttle. What you did back there with Robert. How did you stay so calm? I've seen trained soldiers crack under less pressure. Elena considered the question carefully. I think it's because in those moments there's no room for fear. When someone's life is hanging in the balance, your training takes over. You don't have time to think about whether you're scared or whether you might fail. You just do what needs to be done. Vincent studied her profile as she spoke, noting the quiet strength in her voice. In his world, power was usually displayed through intimidation or violence. But Elena's power was different, gentler yet somehow more profound. She commanded respect through competence and compassion rather than fear. The shuttle arrived and they found themselves seated together near the back. Marco's carrier between them. Other passengers from their flight filled the remaining seats, many of them still discussing the dramatic event of the evening. That nurse was incredible. An elderly man was saying to his wife, "Did you see how she just took charge of the whole situation and the way she helped that poor father's crying baby?" The woman replied, "Some people are just natural caregivers." Elena shifted uncomfortably in her seat, clearly unaccustomed to being the center of attention. Vincent noticed her discomfort and leaned closer. "You're not used to being recognized for what you do, are you?" he asked quietly. "I'm just doing my job," Elena replied. "It's what any nurse would do." "No," Vincent said firmly. "It's what you would do. There's a difference." The hotel was modern and efficient with a lobby full of displaced travelers. Vincent approached the check-in desk with his usual commanding presence. But the desk clerk's nervous expression reminded him that his reputation preceded him even here. "Mr. Torino," the clerk stammered, consulting his computer screen. We have your suite ready, and we've arranged for a crib to be delivered immediately. Thank you, Vincent replied, then turned to Elena. What room number did they give you? Elena checked her key card. 314. That S on a different floor, Vincent observed. Would you consider staying in the adjoining suite? Marco might need you during the night, and I'd feel better knowing you're close by. Elena hesitated, aware of how the arrangement might appear to others. But one look at the sleeping baby in Vincent's arms reminded her of her primary concern. Just for tonight, she agreed, in case Marco has another episode. As they rode the elevator to the 4th floor, Vincent found himself studying Elena's reflection in the polished doors. She looked tired but determined, her hair slightly disheveled from the evening's events. Yet, there was something about her presence that made him feel calmer than he had in months. Elena, he said as the elevator climbed. Can I ask you something personal? She nodded, though her expression remained guarded. When you decided to approach me on the plane, weren't you afraid? I know my reputation. Most people cross the street when they see me coming. Elena was quiet for a moment, considering her answer. I was terrified, she admitted, but that baby's crying. It wasn't just fussiness. As a pediatric nurse, I could hear that he was in real distress. Sometimes you have to choose between your fear and your duty to help. And helping always wins, Vincent asked. For me, yes, it has to. The elevator doors opened, revealing a plushly carpeted hallway lined with elegant artwork. Vincent's suite was at the end of the corridor with Elena's adjoining room just next door. 6 months later, Elena stood in the nursery of Vincent's Brooklyn penthouse, watching Marco take his first wobbly steps toward his father's outstretched arms. The room was filled with laughter instead of tears, warmth instead of fear. Vincent kept his promise, completely separating his family life from his business dealings, creating a sanctuary where love could flourish. Elena's own children had adjusted beautifully to their new life, attending prestigious schools and forming an unlikely bond with their new guardian. Vincent had discovered that people felt more fulfilling than intimidating them. And Elena had learned sometimes the most dangerous-looking people carry the gentlest hearts. What started as a desperate moment 35,000 feet above the Atlantic transformed into something neither expected. A broken man had learned to trust. A compassionate woman had found her purpose. And a crying baby had brought together two souls who needed each other more than they ever realized. Sometimes the most beautiful connections happen when we choose courage over comfort, when we reach out to help even when we're afraid. Elena's decision to cross that invisible line between economy and first class didn't just calm a crying baby. It proved that kindness has no boundaries, that healing knows no social barriers, and that love can bloom in most unexpected places.